Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior and welcome to yet another Mortal Kombat video. Unlike my typical history of videos, today I'm very excited to bring you some exclusive news for the Mortal Kombat Reboot movie. Now it was last week where we finally received some news about the reboot of the series, that being on-set photos of the actors in costume, and it must be said that they do look very impressive. So let's quickly run down over the visuals first before we talk about the finer details of the film, as well as more news that has recently come out about it, tweaking up some of the information that came out on the photo reveals. It seemed like there was in fact some typos that led to some incorrect information regarding the film, so we will be correcting some of those issues here. Our first onset shot is between Hanzo Hasashi and Bi-Han. Of course, there was no doubt in anyone's mind that the two would be in this film. They are the poster boys of the series. Now from what we can clearly tell from this photo is that we will once again be seeing the fall of the Shira Ryu at the hands of Bi-Han. Possibly Quan Chi in disguise, let's not over-examine things just yet. So no doubt this is a flashback sequence in order to set up the events of the movie for the iconic blood feud. Now if you're a long-time fan or familiar with Mortal Kombat in any way, you'll know who this battle kind of does favor, as it does lead up to the creation of a fan favorite character. But with no current sequel announced, I wouldn't hold out for a character like Noob Saibot in this film or later installments just yet. Let's put out one movie at a time. It's also worth mentioning here that Bi-Han is portrayed by Joe Taslim, an actor that many of you might be familiar with if you watched the very first Raid movie. It's here where he fought against the drug dealer's enforcer Mad Dog. The choreography in those films is incredible. So if Taslim can bring any of his physicality there to this role, we are actually in for a really big treat. Now Hanzo Hasashi is portrayed by Hiroyuki Sanada, an iconic face in East Asia cinema, but has had a lot of work in the West due to his talents. One of his more recent roles was in Avengers Endgame. Now our next shot here is our first look at both Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and I gotta say, I'm digging what I'm seeing here. It's really nice to see both characters finally on the big screen after sharing so many appearances with each other. It's somewhat hard to tell what's going on here in this picture, but it does seem like they're in a temple of sorts. There's not too much to go off here, as it's clearly supposed to show off the design of the characters and how the actors look in their respective roles. Now first off, let's talk about Liu Kang, and I gotta say, I'm actually really impressed with how Ludi looks here. He actually kind of looks like Liu Kang. He fits into the role really well, and if you're familiar with any of Ludi's work, you'll really know he'll commit to a role once he starts it. I honestly think it's fantastic casting, and Ludi looks the part and is a talented actor. The only downside I can really point out here, and it isn't so much something that's bad, is his costume design, which is a tiny bit lackluster. But simple is more, especially when it comes to a monk character, and the colors that are used here actually bounce off each other very well, and it complements the red in a way that isn't too distracting. Another reason why this costume design may be a little bland is also because it's right next to Kung Lao, and there's a lot going on with this design. Now with that being said, let's actually jump over to Lao. Now Lao in this film is portrayed by Max Huang. In terms of overall costume design, he looks fantastic. He's got the iconic hat, and of course he's pulling off the pose, but unfortunately from this angle we can't see the costume too well, but it's very clear that they've drawn some influence from his Mortal Kombat 11 design, with his arm guards and overall costume. There's no doubt that is where the influence does come from with this iteration of Kung Lao. Overall, I'm pretty pleased with Lao's design. I unfortunately can't talk much about Max Huang's background, as he's typically known for his stunt work, so hopefully I'll be impressed by what he can bring to the table, because the casting in this film is actually pretty damn good. Here we have another action shot between Sonya Blade and Keno, with Sonya Blade portrayed by Jessica McInerney and Keno portrayed by Josh Lawson. Now again, of course, these two have a long-running blood feud in the games, and it seems like it's going to translate over into the movie. They may follow similar footsteps of the first film, of which Keno killed her partner, or maybe take it in a completely different direction. Something that I will actually touch on a little bit later on, as the synopsis is quite interesting in that respect. Now in terms of design here, I like what I see with Sonya. Yes, it's definitely plain in comparison to some of the other costume we've seen in the Mortal Kombat series, but it definitely fits that military spec ops background that she does have. It's nothing too crazy, and it does seem to be set in reality, which helps ground the human characters. Keno on the other hand are where things get really crazy. Now from what you can tell from these two shots, you can see that he's in what's believed to be Black Dragon attire, with him even sporting a branded sleeve on his left arm. But of course the most obvious thing out of his design here is the lack of an eye plate on the left side of his face, which is weird, but I think there's probably a little more to it. We can see there's a lot of cut and scarring where the cybernetic optic has been placed, so I'm guessing there's actually plating under his skin, and it will be revealed over over the course of the film. Now onto our next shot, it's yet another action shot, but this time of Mehcad Brooks as Jax. Now originally, I really like this design. The pose looks great. Mehcad Brooks actually fits into the role of Jax very well, but I feel like the longer I do look at the arms, the more that they do look slightly CG'd. I don't know if it's just me, I'm not a CG hater by any means, but since I looked at it and picked up on it, it's hard for me to not actually like overanalyze. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but I feel like now that I've mentioned it, other people will probably see it. I definitely wouldn't expect robotic prosthetics to be put on Mehcad Brooks by any means, but I don't know, there's still a bit of time before the film does come out, so a little bit of polish always helps. Now the most obvious thing in this picture is that there has been a significant amount of time since Jax has obtained his cybernetic arms, so maybe this feud with Outworld has been going on a lot longer than one would presume. This may not actually be the first tournament that these fighters have participated in. Now we do once again get another action shot of Bi-Han, but this time Joe Taslim is fully kitted out in a Sub-Zero outfit, summoning what is believed to be a frozen Kori blade. If you can't quite tell, this is of course an Easter egg and homage to Kuai Liang's outro in Mortal Kombat X. Now, our final and last photo is of Lewis Tan, but who is he playing? Well, Lewis Tan is portraying the film's original character, Cole Young, formerly known in earlier drafts as Cole Turner. Now, very little is actually known about this original character, but from what we do know, he will more or less effectively be serving as the audience character and a way to somewhat introduce new and intrigued fans to the universe. Although I'm rather hesitant, Lewis Tan is an incredible actor, and for those of you who are unfamiliar with his work, please before you go watch the film, check out his work in acting in Wu Assassins, as well as his very brief role in Deadpool 2 where he did play Shatterstar. Now finally that we have these pictures out of the way, let's talk about the official synopsis and talk about the errors in it that have been corrected since then. In Mortal Kombat, MMA fighter Cole Turner, accustomed to taking a beating for money, is unaware of his heritage, or why Outworld's Emperor Shang Tsung has sent his best warrior, Sub-Zero, an otherworldly cryomancer, to hunt down Cole. Fearing for his family's safety, Cole goes in search of Sonya Blade at the direction of Jax, a special forces major who bears the same strange dragon marking Cole was born with. Soon he finds himself in the temple of Lord Raiden, an elder god and protector of Earthrealm, who grants sanctuary to those who bear the mark. Here Cole trains with experienced warriors Liu Kang, Kung Lao and the rogue mercenary Keno, as he prepares to stand with Earth's greatest champions against the enemies of Outworld in a high-stakes battle for the universe. But will Cole be pushed hard enough to unlock his arcana, his immense power from within his soul, in time to save not only his family, but to stop Outworld once and for all? Now before I break this down, I do want to correct a few things from this synopsis, as there are some things that are wrong here. First things first, Shang Tsung is not the Emperor of Outworld, and Raiden is not an elder god, so don't worry, these are things that Russo has already confirmed, and they will also not be playing that sort of role in the film, so you don't need to worry about that. Luckily that has been corrected. We also do know for a fact that Shao Khan has been cast for this film, but will more than likely be relegated as a small cameo, as former MMA fighter, wrestler and actor Nathan Jones will be portraying the hulking Emperor. Now from what you can tell, this is a rather unorthodox approach in terms of storytelling of the events of the first game. First and foremost, starting with the original character Cole Young. Now as I touched on it earlier, this character actually serves as a way for new fans to connect to the universe. It's a typical kind of fish out of water story, where everything is still new to the character as well as fans. Whilst it might be slightly cliche, he's a character bound by fate to be something more by destiny, or in this case a strange dragon mark that sets him up as a future defender of Earthrealm. So there are actually some pros to having Cole Young in the film. It's here where we also learn that Bi-Han will be playing an antagonistic role in the film, serving as a hired assassin for Shang Tsung, so it does fit into how the Lin Kuei do work. This does raise the question of Scorpion, and how exactly does he fit into the story? Will he be a bit of a wild card, or is he working with Earthrealm in order to kill Sub-Zero? Another thing worth pointing out here are the Earthrealm defenders, consisting of iconic faces such as Liu Kang, Kung Lao, Jax, Sonya and Keno? Yes, it seems like he'll be working with the Earthrealm defenders, to the surprise of many, and I know many people are really upset about this, but really, come on guys, everyone know what Keno is all about. You can 110% expect this dude to make some shady deals and possibly even betray his teammates, as long as it benefits him. This is without a doubt a betrayal that's set in the pipeline, so please don't worry about this, as the writer Greg Russo is a Mortal Kombat fan. I mean, the shot of Sonya and Keno kind of does speak for itself. Now, the final important takeaway here is the mysterious power surrounding Cole Young. We're yet to know anything about this character, so unfortunately, it's extremely vague. However, a tinfoil hat theory is that the power that he has surrounding him is the infamous green energy. Seeing as how Johnny Cage is absent in the cast, at least as we know it right now, and he is serving as the fish out of water character and audience character, Cole could effectively be the new Johnny Cage for this film. Now, with this being said, what are my personal thoughts on the script and the synopsis as a whole? Well, I would be lying if I said I wasn't really excited. You see, whilst I may have not been thrilled by the idea of an original character right out the gate, we haven't had a Mortal Kombat movie since 1997. Yeah, I will take what I can get, but there's a lot of talent behind this film, and with Russo being a passionate MK fan and the costume designs that we do have, I'm willing to give this film a fair shot. My only gripe with it right now is the fact that I can't watch it as soon as possible. I am actually very excited for it. Now, I know some might not be happy with the changes here, and you know what, you're 110% allowed to feel that way, because sometimes changing a lot can be a little bit too much, but I will simply put it like this. We've seen the events of the first Mortal Kombat game almost 8 different ways. We've had the original, we've had Mortal Kombat 9, we've had Shaolin Monks, we've had animated movies, we've had web series, we've had so many different wild interpretations of it, but honestly, a change from what we know could actually be good, healthy, and refreshing. It's hard to deny that it doesn't get very tedious, so I will say for those that are skeptical, give it a fair chance. You might find something in it you enjoy. If it's not the script, it may be the acting. If it's not the acting, it may be the action. Personally, I can't wait for this film, and we're not too far away from it now, so I'll most certainly be making a review of it when it does come out, and I will be covering more news regarding this film, as well as more Mortal Kombat content in general. But until then, that's been it for me. Now, just before this video wraps up, guys, if possible, let's try getting it to about 500 likes, and please do not forget to tick that bell, as it will keep you up to date with all of my content coming out. But until then, guys, as always, please comment, like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. Please take care, and I will see you all next time.